we are live, everyone. Happy Fun Time Live. We're bringing Fire in the Library's development team, a good chunk of it, I think, with the exception of Art, right? The art team
Yeah,
is not
the
here.
artist is not here.
Well, that's okay. The art is phenomenal too, so we're going to talk about that. But there you go. That's right there. It's currently on Kickstarter. Really successful start to your campaign. How many days are you guys?
What, 5?
It started Monday, yeah.
Yeah.
5 days.
5.
What day is it?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
it Saturday? Yeah,
It's Saturday.
There's
Yeah.
19 days to go.
So I'm going to ask, before we get into individual introductions and everything, I'm going to ask you guys a really quick question. What has the experience been like for you all? Because it seems like this is like an exposure moment for the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
And it went from, thank you guys very much for the follow-up. I think it went from, hey, we're doing this as maybe a group as a hobby, and it's going to happen because people are following.
Good.
And then it goes into this thing where now we're notarized in a way, like people know us and almost sought after in a way. Like there's almost like this fandom that sort of generates just from this. How's that been? What's the experience been like for you guys? And we can go right down the line, or whoever wants to start.
So I want to start with Monday morning. So I'm fresh in a new job where I'm not allowed to touch social media. It's all blocked on all the websites. I can't have my phone because I work with a lot of sensitive paperwork, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So the campaign goes live, and I'm able to pull up the Kickstarter page, and I'm like, okay, well, I can log in and comment and talk to people, but it's all my accounts are linked through my social media because the two-factor and all this stuff, security, and I can't get in. So all I can do is watch that number rise.
Yeah.
That's it, and that was just me. F5.
refresh. Yeah.
and I'm like when it passes the goal, I'm like, I gotta take a break, and I leave.
Absolutely.
I'm just so, and I can't get to my phone, and man, that was rough, but it was great just watching that.
Of course,
so
the
exciting.
adrenaline. I think the funny thing is, like you said, F5. A mundane like refresh button, but that day,
insane.
that's your anchor. That's your anchor to sanity. Oh my God, it keeps going up. Our numbers are increasing. We did a lot of the groundwork, and Carla, I think right off the bat, I think a lot of the groundwork you laid for this project early on, promotions, marketing, getting your name out there. I saw so many things pop up through Twitter and everything. I have to commend you on that end of it, because I think it was a really well put together hype campaign that you put together.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it took a lot of effort, but it all seemed to work out really well, and it just keeps going up. So.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, there's so much pre-work that people don't realize. You know what I mean? The pains I think about it, but I can't really fathom the pains of setting up the Kickstarter page.
Yeah.
And coordinating the art.
Yeah. You don't know about that Kickstarter.
That page. I only have like parts of it. There are parts of it that were like me, but what she had to deal with that, I don't even.
Well, okay, so
Is it specific formatting, like specific resolutions, right?
I'm a software engineer.
Okay.
I can make things look good.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. But the Kickstarter page is not in any sort of language at all. It's like, oh my gosh, if you add an image, it adds in some extra space. If you add in a video, space, link, space.
Right,
delete that space, it's gonna delete something.
Oh, so and without like a technical backup.
No, it's not gonna tell you what. And also, so to do the Kickstarter page, I have to have the Chrome console window open so I know when it errors. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it's not doing anything.
Oh my God.
And I know about the Chrome console window because I am an engineer
Of
and I
course.
do stuff. But somebody else isn't gonna know. They're gonna be like, it's working, right? I just have to wait long enough. And it's like, no.
Nope.
And then you have to change a little thing, save. Change a little thing, save. And if you have more than one window open, it's gonna erase it.
Yeah.
Just erase. Oh my God. So
don't
anything.
save the wrong window.
So all this, guys, this is a knowledge bomb right now. Our buddies at Crit Camp, they would say a crit no, but absolutely. This is part of what we really want to discuss with you is not only the game itself, but the process you guys are going through. Where we talked a little about your mind space and where there's ups and downs through the whole process of it. I mean, I'm sure there's an aspect of you on cloud 9 right now, but also there's a little bit of dread because we're doing great, but we got to make these games now.
Okay, making the game is gonna be easy. It's gonna be.
She's like the pro here on that side.
Yeah,
She's done it once for sure.
Okay.
She's like most of the way through the process of doing it the second time. I totally trust her to absolutely handle all of that stuff.
Sometimes the charm, right?
It's
so 2 successful Kickstarters previous to this one, published through Weird Giraffe, right? We could go over learning like each step of the way. Like it's almost like in itself a beta version of learning, and then a full version. At this point, you're in the 3rd version of learning. And are there any cautions that you could give any potential designers that will watch this? For anything you encounter in the first, second, and even this campaign, aside from the coding part of it.
Oh gosh.
And there's a ton, but what would you say was your biggest pain point in any of those campaigns?
I would say like the biggest.
John points at himself.
No, John is fine.
John was fine.
John guy's all right.
We won't kick him out.
Well, just working with people, working with you have to be a contractor and get people to work with you and communicate with them, and that's really hard actually. And so I am very methodical and of a certain mindset, and artists are different.
You just do it, right?
And different people work differently, and for my first couple games, I worked with artists that did things, but Best Noble is a board game artist, and she knows things, and so is Katie Cattle, it's fantastic. Not that my first and second artists were bad, it's just it was a learning experience in how to work with people and giving expectations. That's one thing, being able to say words and having them interpreted correctly and know when that happens is very, very important.
Of course.
With my first artist, I would be hey, here's the deadline. And what I meant by that is that this is the last possible day for it to get done for us to succeed.
Right.
But for him, it was this is when I'm going to start working.
That's the day I started. Yeah.
Yeah.
The deadline means that's when I started, and then hopefully I get it done at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's not he did anything bad, it's just we had different definitions of deadline. He could finish everything in a couple hours, so that was fine. But saying oh yeah, please finish this as soon as possible because then we get the next thing and the next thing and going on, and getting people to work and do things. And another aspect is working with reviewers. And with reviewers, you have to contact them 3 months in advance and be okay, yes, this is the plan. Are you on?
Right.
Okay, and then you every time anything changes, or even if nothing changes, you're 2 weeks later, you're this is still the plan. Are you still on? Are you still working with me?
And the funny thing is, I think that within this, because this is an industry of hobbyists a lot of the time.
Yes.
And that carries with it. I don't want to say a malaise, but I don't think there's really a real drive to activate because they have jobs outside of what they do.
Yeah,
Reviewers,
they have lives. They have
designers.
so many things going on.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So for Stellar Leap, I learned a lot of things about people's lives. So we launched Stellar Leap in September, and you know what else is in September? Hurricanes.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you don't think about that until your reviewers are in the hurricane and they don't have power.
Oh my god.
And it's oh, you don't have a learn to play video because you don't have power. Well, you can't be mad at people, but you have to over prepare for Kickstarter because it's not you can prepare for everything. In Stellar Leap, there was either 2 or 3 people that were in a hurricane, because there was a lot of hurricanes then.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not.
It was a
plan
crazy season.
Hurricane season.
Yeah.
But also, one person, their work went on strike, so they had to deal with that, and another person got super ill, and you have to I want at least 3 or 4 reviewers to be done day one. You need those there. If you don't have any reviews,
because you need the video, and you guys could do the playthrough, but it's so much more effective when you have an established name within the industry that has that playthrough.
And even if you are an established name, even if you yourself are a reviewer or someone who does reviews, it's better to have somebody else, some third party out there.
Because you're the one that made it. So what's the chance of you actually saying, oh, this is a shit part of my game,
Exactly. Yeah. Having somebody else step forward to vouch for it, whether it's the how to play video or just an actual review.
Correct.
Yeah. Even if they vouch for it, you have to make sure that they vouch for the right thing.
So, and that's a very good point that you bring up there too. And I was curious about that. Are there times where you get review videos? Do you get to screen them before you put them to air?
Yeah. So with some people, I do get their review videos and whatnot beforehand, and some of them they give me a Google Drive, and then I can comment and be hey, you said that this was a bad point, but actually you might be playing wrong.
Okay.
Because like that happens.
Absolutely.
Rules are not finalized. Like
especially like by the time when they get it, it's still prototype.
Yes.
And sometimes early prototype.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you shouldn't do that.
You shouldn't.
You should
That's
definitely blind play test any rules you send to a reviewer.
Okay.
But
there we go. Golden rule right there. Anybody?
Don't send non-blind play tested rules. Like that's just being a douche.
It's just it makes their job much harder.
Yes, it does.
Right.
Okay.
And it also makes what you get back like garbage in, garbage out.
Correct.
If you give somebody something that's not ready or not done, you're going to get back something that reflects that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Without naming any names, obviously, have there ever been like any of those relationships that soured for you guys? Like where there was like initially excitement and then it turned into this thing where listen, we can't use this, or
yeah, there's some things like that. I think more often is that they just don't produce anything.
Oh wow,
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
And again, that malaise, that they have other jobs and this is like a second or tertiary thing in their life.
And sometimes I keep following up. I'm like, hey, do you need anything?
Yeah.
Like, well, I do like every week. I try to contact reviewers and be like, hey, do you need images?
Right.
Do you need anything?
Yep.
Do you need questions?
Yep.
Like anything like that. Because sometimes, like even if you do it, like they also have day jobs, they have kids, they have lives.
Yeah.
But maybe the second or third email, they'll be like, oh yeah, I do actually have a question. I will respond.
And also, you guys, again, this is kind of a break point for you. This game and Stellar Leap was, but before that, those reviewers are like, okay, this isn't a big organization.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a queue of like 10 games that are coming from like Renegade Studios and like so obviously like you guys are kind of maybe without being told. You're a little bit on the background.
It's, how many Asmodee titles do we have to do,
Right.
And it also depends on when it is. Like, if it's around convention season,
Yeah.
and they're trying to cover everything that came out at Essen, all 7,000 games or
Yep.
whatever, there's only so much bandwidth that they have.
Correct.
So,
Lewis is a big fan of the beer tunnel.
yeah.
That's where
Lewis is our friend from Scotland who visits us.
Oh, Scotland!
Yeah. He's the mad Scot that we play games with, so. So there's obviously a lot of pain points that you guys go through. So at this point, we're actually going to go around the table because we didn't introduce everybody at this point. We're going to do that now. It's okay. I wanted to get some information about the Kickstarter out and everything. So everybody knows I'm Will, hosting here. Dave is right-hand man, and we'll start with Tony.
Okay, cool. Tony Miller, I'm the Bearded Rogue on Twitter. You can find me gabbing away nearly constantly on that platform. I'm also 1/3 of the Breaking Into Board Games podcast. I have my own podcast where we talk to people who are already in the industry about breaking into the industry, both to kind of get their story out there and share that with people, and to give other people who are looking to join us in the industry advice on how to do that, whether it's artists, publishers, designers. We've had graphic designers, distributors, anyone you can think of that's affiliated in the industry. We've got people on to talk about that. I've been designing board games now for 8 years. 8 years sounds right.
Yeah.
Since I started Elements back in the day.
Okay.
And
a lot of people, they'll make a distinction. I asked the question, how long have you been in board games? They say, do you mean successfully or unsuccessfully?
Yes. This right here, Fire in the Library, is my first signed design.
Okay.
I have about 500 more. That's an exaggeration. I have about 50 more.
Okay.
Sitting around somewhere in some sort of state, some good, some bad.
Okay.
But this is the first one that was signed and is going to exist now in the space. That's pretty much me. Like,
That's the encapsulation.
I love game designers. My entire purpose on this earth is to help everybody who wants to do this do it because it's a blast.
Which 90%, maybe a little less, from my experience, and about 90% of the community is that way.
They're at least interested in it.
Yes.
Yeah, they have some idea in the back of their minds, or they have something that they're, interested in, and I want to help them get to the point where they're doing the work to bring it into reality.
And even at any level, sometimes the highest levels of this industry, there's a very cooperative mentality. And
Yes.
it seems to be anyway. I say 90% because there's a little bit of a gate sometimes.
Well, this whole thing is a cooperative
Exile painting, thank you.
thing. Yeah, this whole thing is a cooperative thing.
Ooh.
us running into each other and.
Moose has a question after the introductions.
Oh, sure. So we'll move. I'm sorry. We'll move on to Carla. For the
Yeah,
introduction
go for
here.
it.
Oh, okay, so I am Carla Kopp of Weird Giraffe Games. Our tagline, if I can remember it properly, is that we are creating engaging games focused on player choice and layered with strategy. So yeah, that is the tagline.
I like it.
Yes.
I am the social media, design, development, all the things kind of person. on
One
Weird
term I'm
Giraffe.
gonna ask you to clarify for anybody watching. Define development. What is the role of a developer in the board game industry? What does that entail? Is that like a
Okay,
catch-all for
so-
like I do everything? Like
No,
all the painful things.
It is definitely not everything.
Right. Well, because you got
Because
consent.
publishing is like, whoa, its own thing on itself.
Yeah.
So what I define development as is Tony and John made a great game, and then I took it and I was like, okay, we're gonna go in this direction. We're gonna add these things,
Mhm.
and yeah, and that's how it's gonna play from there. I was more of the I made decisions and
Yeah.
stuff.
If I had to give it like a metaphor,
Yes.
we built a good table, and she sanded it down and gave it a good varnish.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
cool.
the
I like
finisher.
that. I like
She-
that a lot.
she's the
I like that a
finisher.
lot.
I had the same metaphor in my head. That's
Very
crazy.
good.
But yes,
like
but
it a
yes,
lot.
she's the finisher. Like
Mhm.
she came in and took what we already had that was sturdy and had a good foundation
But
and
people
made
are
it
going to get
pretty.
splinters, and that's not good for PR when people end up right.
No,
so
no,
you gotta get rid of those. Because the core of the game has not changed. It's still the same game it was.
Correct.
Before Carla blessed it.
Yeah.
Gave it the whole bit. But
Carla, seal
it's.
of approval.
Yeah.
That's right.
If you go and look back at previous iterations, you'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, I see how these are the same thing.
That's awesome.
But now you can, like, with Carla's touches, it feels like something you would want to put in your home and let your children climb on top of.
I like
you know.
those metaphors.
We're going
They're just
deep.
they're
These
boring.
are
Yeah.
deep
Yeah, those are
metaphors.
deep
We're gonna be
metaphors.
talking about tables all night
Yeah,
now. I
that's
can already
exactly
tell.
right. It's stuck. It's stuck. You did it.
So I feel like this is a good time for me to introduce myself.
Perfect.
If you're
It's
done
perfect
introducing
transition.
yourself, and I
Did
don't want to cut you
I
off.
don't know. Yes, I'm.
I don't. If you have anything, well, I mean, we have tons of time as long as you guys can be here tonight. So
I'm here till Sunday.
yeah. Yeah, great. No, but not that long. I don't have that much battery, man.
The full evening live stream.
That's right. So John, go ahead.
My shirt does look like the old
Yeah,
tabletop
I
thing.
did.
It's now be careful.
Oh,
It
roll
is-
this back.
I
Hey,
bought it
Ralph.
on Amazon. It's an Asian 2XL, so I normally wear a large. It's a little
I
shrinky.
like that.
So
I do like.
but
I do
yeah,
like.
I've had those
Um,
experiences, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Amazon Prime. Anyways, my name is John Prather. I am Angry Tetris on everything: Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, OkCupid, Instagram.
It's a plug. Plugging it.
Everything,
Yeah.
every place that so
I mean, like, that was an intense plugging. Like, I didn't plug myself. I'm gonna take like this.
No, actually-
I'm Weird Giraffes on
Yeah. So
Twitter.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. No. Any other handles
I
that you
did
have?
put that in there.
Weird Giraffe Games on Facebook and Instagram. Carla Kopp on Facebook. Like, I don't have OkCupid.
I put your. I mean, I guess it is
We're
now,
kind of
but-
married,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, if I did, I wouldn't
Steve.
tell people.
we wouldn't advertise it on a live
I
stream.
don't have a known account on OkCupid.
I don't know. That's all like beyond me if I had to do that now.
Uh,
Yeah, John's just plugging like a nut over there.
I-
on the corner
it's-
of the
I
table.
just I like the name, so I do the thing. That's
Yeah,
me.
I mean, if you need it, then you have it.
You gotta push it, yeah. You gotta get
Yeah.
the most out of the subscription.
I'm gonna get a bunch of messages.
Yeah, you are.
A bunch of just weird, unsolicited messages.
a whole bunch of people swiping right now.
So
So
the cup shirt.
Beautiful.
let me see. So I'm a board gamer and a video gamer. For board games, Dice Hate Me appeals to me because they hate dice too.
Yes.
So I like card games. I kind of had a background. At one point, I used to just buy starter decks for card games, so I played lots of different card games. I have like 40 or so different CCG starters in my room somewhere. I like lots of cards. I like big games. I'm getting into 18xx. It's a terrible
I've
road,
heard,
but I'm going
I've heard
eventually.
it's a great franchise, but it's like
Oh man.
And that's it's not good for your mental or physical health.
Once you enter it, it doesn't let you go. Is what pretty much
I don't play PUBG. I played Fortnite Save the World for a little bit, and then I played Fortnite for a little bit.
Oh, you played the real Fortnite, you mean?
Yeah, before they killed it.
Before they copied.
I'm not.
the franchise?
My shooter of choice is Warsaw, which is a Quake mod. I really like arena shooters,
Gotcha.
but they're unfortunately mostly dead. I'm waiting for Diabolical. Who knows when that comes out? But
Didn't they just did another Unreal, didn't they?
it's,
or like a
it's-
redo of it?
they pulled everybody from it to go to Fortnite,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's probably dead, unfortunately.
I gotcha.
All the arena shooters are kind of even reflex. Anyways, I
It's a different time.
I play Dota 2. Like I was telling these guys earlier.
Rep it.
I'm a position 7. I like Pilot Eye and PPD. I like those support players. I heal.
all-
I push
understand anything you
support.
just said,
happening.
I buy
yeah.
boards. I used to play Priest in WoW. I was your healer. I did.
You did the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm that guy that's I help the team. I don't need to be the glory hog because I know in the background I'm the guy who made it happen.
He's
right?
the healer, I'm the DPS. That's basically how it works. I'm the rogue, he's the priest.
So
and
that's-
it
as
works
you
out.
can see, it's a very eclectic
Yeah.
team that's assembled here.
Yeah.
And I mean, tell me a little bit. How did it happen? Like, first off, obviously you guys met up to design the game,
Yes.
and so let's start there.
So let me see.
And again, the game is Fire in the Library. It's actively on Kickstarter right now. Did you guys hit that?
Boom,
yet?
there it
Yeah,
is.
it's
Close,
on
right?
It is again.
fireinthelibrary.com.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
So fireinthelibrary.com. You can visit the website now to get an idea of how the game's played. We're gonna actually play through it eventually here, maybe.
We're having a good time though. Come
But yeah,
on, man.
I really want you guys to know who these people are who develop these games and design them. It's just such an important aspect of what's out there in the
Why do
industry.
I have so many things open on my phone?
So-
Is that? Yeah, that's the box. That is
Yeah,
what it
so
looks
this
like.
is the actual
Yeah,
the box.
Books a box.
Now I
It was a
believe
book.
I believe
There you go.
what was
This
actually
is not the official box.
yeah what was
I made
unlocked
it
was
with my
something
hands.
magnetic unlocked?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so we have a magnet box, and the magnet box opens like a book. It's
It
gonna be
opens from the side
fantastic.
instead of telescoping.
Yeah,
There you
like
go.
telescope
Awesome.
box are for like just
Not
regular,
books.
average, everyday board games. This is gonna be a magnet box,
Yep.
and it's gonna have the scoreboard on the box.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fantastic.
The art's phenomenal. I know one of the pain points
I'll watch
that
it.
comes up in chat, and slap me if I hit a nerve here, but the price difference between the two versions, the base version and the deluxe version.
So the base version is $19 plus
Yeah.
shipping, and the ultra.
Yeah, the ultra version. Sorry.
Is $100. But the ultra, so it's not a typical deluxe. So
You're hand making that one.
yeah, so I'm
Some
hand
of it,
making
yeah,
it.
a lot of it.
Well,
Yeah, so let's-
depending on what you mean by hand make,
Okay.
because I am like hand staining the wood and all that, and I'm
would say
also
that is
hand.
definition. I said it's the literal
Yeah.
definition of it, yes.
But hold on, because she's gonna
wait,
talk about
wait,
lasers,
wait,
and she
yeah.
doesn't.
And I am hand
you know,
pushing the
she's-
button that's gonna execute the lasers.
Okay.
that-
Oh.
I mean, like I.
There's a quick horn. They
I was
just
gonna say somebody said lasers,
Yeah.
so
Lasers.
Quick
So
send
yes,
laws.
at this point there is a laser and crafted box, and okay, so this is legit cool. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what?
Regardless of who
let me
you
let,
are.
let me just say that I think an opportunity to talk to you about this. You'll go into the process of it and almost justifying the cost because it's a big difference. And I say the difference of 100, but you're also getting a copy of the base game with that ultra.
Yeah,
Yes.
So it's technically 75 for the ultra, and you're also getting a copy of the
Yep.
base
Yeah,
game.
I sent to you.
Yeah. So go ahead and explain
Okay,
the whole
so
process
for
of it.
$75, you get a laser cut box, and it's not just like a plain laser cut box. So it's a piece of wood, one piece of wood that is actually lasered so much that it turns. It has the curved edges. Yeah, like
I didn't realize that either.
yeah, like
Yes.
She's
it
found a
turns-
way to bend light. It's
Bend-
incredible.
bend
Well,
wood.
bend
Ben
wood.
Wood.
Ben
If you
Wood
laser
manipulates
it
matter.
enough, you get that. So you get the laser cut box. So there's blue. It's stained. It's
Right.
amazing. It fits together. It's all one piece.
Yes.
I mean, it even looks like a book. Like we did the etching on the side for the book pages, which
Mhm.
looks really cool. So you get that box. You get tokens. Like they're really.
The tokens are
cool.
from. Do you have those tokens with you?
I do. If
So I'll go up to the camera.
I'm just trying to fill out my profile so I can follow John on OkCupid.
Because now it's a
Okay.
thing.
You're gonna make
Follow
yeah.
people on OkCupid?
No, just
I
John.
learn Things
Well,
every day.
you can. You probably shouldn't. But I mean,
So okay.
that's got its own
But no,
ramifications.
you asked earlier about us running into each other.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
the design aspect of it.
So, while she's finding all the gorgeous bits, so the two of us, were actually in a local game store. We played games at a local game store on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
And I started bringing prototypes, and John was like, I've got a lot of those at home. And so suddenly board game night became prototype night.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like Tony would bring a game and be like, oh, I got some ideas. And I would bring a game and Tony's like, hey, I got some ideas. And then we're just kind of like, I'll be the peanut butter, you be the jelly. I'll be the peanut butter, you be the chocolate.
Yo, another deep metaphor,
metaphors,
you know? And we made a Reese's factory. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
so
pretty much how it's gone now.
And it's so good because, you know, I think me and Tony have also tried to make stuff on our own. And every time we do, we run into this, just like, I'm not a huge person on theme a lot of times.
Yeah.
So when I make a game, people are like, well, what's the game about? And I'm like, you just put 2 squares and you get points.
It's about playing a
Put
game.
the squares, get the points,
Yeah.
win.
It's, you know, it's an abstract. Just play it. And then, you know, like, that's my biggest weakness is I can't find a theme for my games, and I want them to be abstract because I came from a large chess background. I used to play FIDE chess all the
He
time.
was winning.
And then, yeah, you
Just win.
yeah, that's it. You know, and so, you know, and then Tony is helping me to find ways to push theme into what I'm doing, and then when we're working together, like he's definitely carrying my weight on that theme aspect.
Okay.
And
you know.
vice versa, John is the math guy.
Okay.
Like, John, I will take my idea and say, hey, this is a cool way to manipulate
Yep.
things. And then John will go, okay, so what are we doing with the manipulation? I'm like, I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah, you do that.
Like, this is a cool thing that we can do, and then he'll go, okay, here's the math around it, and then we'll just play the
Yeah.
crap out of it.
They'll laugh when I say this, but I'm on the stream. I'm the lore master. Like I'm the guy that loves like the deep story, and the lore that goes into some of these games. And it sounds like that's kind of like your role in developing like what's the lore behind the game, and then make it work mathematically so that it happens.
I swim in spreadsheets.
Well, a lot of the time he'll throw something at me mechanism wise, and I'll be
Okay.
like, okay, that's really cool, and then I'll just be sitting there with it in my head, and then all of a sudden I'll go, you know what? What if it's this? And so like this was kind of one of those things. Like we wanted to do a pressure luck game because
Yes.
I love pressure luck games,
Mhm.
and John likes
Wins.
pressure luck games, and so both of us were interested in this, but we'd never done one before. So we started trying to think of it and everything, and I don't even remember where it originally came from, but we had the idea of the pulling cubes from a bag because who doesn't love doing that?
Right.
It's like a surprise. It's like a surprise every time.
Well, also on Tabletop Simulator, the best container for cubes is a bag.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
the bag.
Is this available on Tabletop Simulator at the moment?
Yes.
So yeah, I'm a very amateur tabletop sim module creator,
I was going to
Sorry.
see how you're going to
Yeah.
organize that.
and
Yeah.
so I created it. I think I did it pretty good. You know, it's out there. I don't have a link to it right here in front
Yeah,
of me.
we'll find it. It's in the workshop.
yeah, I'll take
If
care
you
of it.
guys
I
have
gotcha.
Tabletop Simulator,
Yeah.
if anybody watching tonight is interested in Tabletop Simulator, you know, send me a message through Twitch or through Twitter, and I can see if I can float you guys a copy. And anyone that wants to try it, I can't do a ton of them, but I could try to help out and get that out there for you guys.
Oh, it's
So-
a blast. Yeah.
So you want pressure luck games to be fast.
Yeah.
You don't want a 2-hour pressure luck game.
No,
You don't
you
want a
don't.
4-hour
You
pressure
do
luck
not.
game.
No.
Nobody can be.
Yeah.
You cannot sustain that level of tension that a pressure luck game requires for that long.
Nope.
So like once you approach half an hour, it had better be wrapping up.
That's right.
And so we were playtesting this thing, and so we were immediately thinking of rescuing things. But like, what are we rescuing? Like, if it's a hospital, that's really dark.
So is it
Like we got a
so-
15-minute game where
so-
people are dying because
Please,
we're screwing up.
Please run me through the ideas you guys had for rescuing. So hospitals actually, was that legit? Was that one of them?
It was something we talked about and immediately discarded. Like hospital, zoo,
Pass.
Was it always a fire?
hospital, zoo, pet store. It wasn't always a fire.
Like
Like
a
it
pet
was,
store on fire? That's
yeah.
getting
Also,
dark.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
would you forgive
Dark.
yourself?
That's
if,
getting dark.
Would you forgive yourself if the puppies and kitties didn't make it? I wouldn't. Like, I don't want a game that drives people to suicide. That's totally not my goal.
But the points, Tony. The points.
The points, the winning.
I went through like, so when I picked it up,
Yeah.
I was like, should it stay the theme? Like, are people really into libraries? And I went down the same, like, dark path, like, oh, you could save, like, astronauts in space. But, if you fail,
But
they
some of them would die.
Yeah,
so-
if you fail, that's real people dying, and
Yeah.
like for some people that doesn't bother them. Like meet Bob, he's my friend. I just pushed Bob down the stairs. What are you gonna do about it? Like fictionally, like it doesn't matter really. It's just a story. But there are some people who are now feeling for Bob right now on the street.
On the street,
They're
like,
upset that
I never knew you, Bob.
They're upset that I was so mean to him right there. So like we didn't want a really heavy theme on top of a really light game,
Right.
and so. I was just sitting in front of my computer, strolling through my social media feeds, and I passed by a picture that said, you know you're a real book nerd if you're still angry about the Library of Alexandria. And in that moment, I realized how much of a book nerd I really am.
Right.
Like, I'm still angry that all of this stuff was lost, but then I started thinking to myself, later on in a conversation with my wife on a long road trip,
I think you're just saying Bob.
Yeah. Bob!
Okay.
But yeah, like if you, on a long road
I can't
trip,
remember his last name now.
we were,
Reld, I don't remember.
Handler. Eric Handler.
Eric
Yeah.
Handler. I don't remember his real name. It's terrible. I feel so bad. Sorry, Reld.
but yeah, overall, like a book is something that people consider to be very valuable. I personally consider them to be very valuable. But if you lose one, nothing has died.
Yeah.
Like-
Other than the knowledge it contained.
Nothing's gone.
Right.
In some ways.
Yeah, nothing's been eaten.
Yeah,
Nothing's.
it's not a biological
Yes.
life form. That,
like we can still feel bad, but it's not a tragedy.
correct. Yeah.
And so that's kind of where that whole marriage of theme and
but there's
mechanisms happen.
and there's enough attachment to books where people could really buy into the severity and the urgency to save the books.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
It's like that
There's-
perfect medium. It's
yeah.
not a living thing, but at the same time, you have to save them because they contain so much knowledge and things like that. So phenomenal. It was great. One of the things that drew me to it early on, my wife loves books. I'm okay with them, but I'm not like, I'm more of just hard like board game, video game person. And so she and movies, but so this is perfect for us because I like board games. She enjoys them. But the themes are what draws us together. Paperback, one of her favorite games, because she enjoys books. Hardback, but again, anything that could bring the theme for both of us to play together and enjoy the game, I was like, yeah, okay, we're in. And I think that a lot of people would probably wear that the same way with us. Yeah. Sorry.
And it's just that whole peanut butter and chocolate aspect.
Yeah, exactly. You got peanut butter and chocolate. You got the Reese's Factory going for
Yeah.
the designers. And then what happens? What happens when the
They
what
said
happens?
you don't like to read. You don't know how to read well. That's why you don't like books.
Yeah, they like to abuse me on stream. By the way,
Lewis
so-
also asked earlier if you have any beard tips for him.
Any beard tips? Don't shave it. No.
Okay.
No. Honestly, I can go into it a little bit, but wooden combs are the greatest things on earth.
Okay.
Because they actually, like, over time soak up your natural beard oils, and I can't believe I'm giving beard tips.
No,
on
it's
stream.
okay. It's okay.
But they soak up your natural beard oils, and so when you use one of those to comb, it actually, like, makes it shinier.
It brings the oil back in.
Yeah.
So instead of using the beard oil, you can
Exactly.
use
You don't
natural oil.
strip it out like
Yeah.
using like soap and stuff like that.
We go to a lot of
Wooden
weird places
combs.
in the street.
Wooden combs are
Alright.
fantastic.
Amazon
Wooden
did me
combs-
good,
and
alright,
beard oil
so
in general is good.
Yeah.
Some beard oil is not created equal, just like
Okay.
all shampoos and stuff
So
like
like
that.
I should
but
avoid when I shampoo my gorgeous locks. I should not shampoo my beard because I do that a lot.
it's okay to do so, especially like if you've discovered that half of your dinner is occupying the shower with
I'm
you.
not there yet.
I've had
I still managed to get most of it in my mouth.
yeah. But yeah, it's something to keep in mind.
You got any beard
I
tips
just
for us,
realized
Carla?
I was surrounded by beard.
What if
You're Heather was on
wait,
before, and Heather
you're-
said, "Which beard does she mean?" There's a lot of beards up there.
you're at a board game convention. Like there's beards are kind
There's
of
gonna be beards.
Yeah.
Some of them are gonna be on the
Yes.
neck.
That's right.
Like-
beards,
happen.
purple hair.
Half
Maybe-
the people here don't have time to shower. Why would they shave?
Oh,
You're talking about Dragon Con.
oh, ouch.
Ouch, burn. So developer comes in, and the Reese's Factory is pumping out ideas, and all of a sudden the developer comes in and goes, "Hey, I'm going to change the formula for Reese's. How did that look for you guys?"
The peanut butter got smoother.
Okay.
Creamier. When you peel it off the little wrapper, it doesn't stick now. They come out of the fridge, so they're nice and cool. They stay.
Yeah.
Are we keeping on that metaphor?
Okay.
So Carla, what exactly? Like you mentioned, like you started toying with the idea of the astronauts and like other things. At what point did you enter that design conversation? Like, was it pretty much mechanically sound at that point? How did you meet up with these guys? And was it them? Were you guys fishing for somebody that would take interest in your game?
So
yeah.
I think the big thing is, wow, the whole reason we're here, Unpub Network, right? I mean, like that's the place.
Yes.
Like Unpub has been so great just to meet people, get
Yes.
your games played a lot, the right type of people to play your games too.
Yes.
And there's just such a good crowd, and it's such a good community, and everybody wants to help because we're all gamers here, and we all want to play the best game. Nobody wants to play a bad game,
Yep.
right? So you want to play a good game. So when you play a bad game, or even an okay game, you want to make it better.
You do.
So everybody wants to do that. So we go to these rooms, we meet people through people, and this guy right here meets people. He's the purple people meter.
Purple people meter.
Yes, it's what I do.
I mean,
Yes. My unofficial title on Twitter is the Purple People Meter of the Warm Fuzzies tribe.
Yes. And so he, people is spelled Peeple.
Well, excuse me for spelling it the right way. My mistake.
That's the wrong one. Excuse me. So this guy is just kind of met everybody, and so like just through connections and through people playing, Carla got to play it, and that's how we met her. We're like, we played her games, she played our games, and you know.
Was it something that happened over a series of conventions and meetings, or was it just like a boom, like one convention you guys met and it clicked?
I think we played Super Hack Override a while. I don't remember what year that was.
2 Gen Cons?
2 Gen Cons ago, yes.
Okay.
And
The
that
conventions
was
all
also
run
you guys-
together.
That was the two of you together
Yes.
as well. Super Hack Overdrive was.
But
No,
Super
that's
Hack-
hers.
That's your-
me.
okay,
That
okay.
she
That's
designed that one. That was her
Okay.
first successful Kickstarter,
Okay.
and it was just before the Kickstarter went up. And I had seen. I'm on Twitter all the time. We
Yeah.
already covered that.
Yes.
And her and her husband Will, who are Weird Draft Games, had been posting videos and rules documents and stuff like that on Twitter. And I like to meet new designers. That's
course.
how I become a better designer.
Mhm.
And I love bringing people into the industry. I am the Purple People Meter. So like. I saw what they were doing and I liked what they were doing, so I reached out and was just like, hey, you know, I watched your videos, which it surprised you at first. Like, wait, somebody watched our videos? And then we started talking about like artwork and mechanisms, and I read the rule books
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and just interacting with each other. And then finally we got to a convention that we were both going to be at, and it's like, hey, let's, you know, meet up. And so we did. We ran into each other. We made that happen. But like we passed each other. The ships. No, we purposefully met up, and then we played Super Hack, and she played Fire in the Library at that point in time.
Oh wow! So it was around that same time that this was still. So I guess that's at least the next question. Concept to product that we see in front of us. How long? How long has this been in various stages of development?
2 years.
2 years?
2
Well,
years.
over 2 years. 'Cause
Yeah,
that was
over 2
2
years.
Gen Cons
Yeah.
ago, so 2.5
Yeah,
at the very
2.5.
least.
Well, basically, this game was kind of born right before 2 Unpubs ago.
Okay.
So, like, literally, we were trying to get all of our stuff geared up for Unpub, and we were feeling pretty good about all of our other designs and everything. So we're like, let's go ahead and work on this, you know, pressure luck library thing that we were working on. And
Yeah.
so we did a whole bunch of like rudimentary stuff, and then I left it at home. And then we get to the hotel room, and it's the night before Unpub,
Yeah.
and
Through the house.
yeah, yeah, it's the night before Unpub, and my
Supply to be found.
and my podcast partner, one of the other people on my podcast, Ian, was in the hotel room with us, and he's like, "Do you guys have anything to play?" And so I go to grab the game that we're going to be showing all weekend. He goes, "No, the horrible stuff, the stuff that's totally not ready yet. You're going to play that so much this weekend, you're sick of it.
Right.
Go ahead and bring out the other stuff." So I'm like, "Well, I don't have any other stuff." So then I rip a sheet off of the hotel stationery and I hand draw what we had created online that I had forgotten at home.
Yeah.
And we raid the other prototypes for bits.
And you were drawing off of my bad spreadsheet. So like, this is like telephone 3 times over. It was.
So we set it on the hotel bed, and we're all standing around the hotel bed.
Oh,
I'm joking with you.
Yeah.
Saying it's
they
reflecting
bust
on
me.
you.
They bust me for my bald spot.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Love you too.
But yeah, so we're all sitting on the we're all standing around the hotel bed playing this game, sitting on the bed that I've hand drawn with like a hotel ballpoint pen. And that was like the initial genesis of it, and then it just kind of kept going from there. We kept iterating,
That's awesome.
changing things and fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we flash forward now to this Gen Con? This past Gen Con.
I think maybe Origins.
Well, I played it again at Origins.
You did play it again at Origins, yeah.
Yeah.
But things had changed, and it was better. Much better than hotel bed, no chicken scratches.
Yeah.
Then we get to Gen Con, and John and I are actively pitching it now to publishers. Like we're actively setting up meetings and showing it to people and everything. And at Gen Con, like, nobody was biting. And like you said, everybody kind of has two jobs, and a day job and a career and all that stuff. So I'm at Gen Con, and I'm actually working for Renegade. And I'm working like the whole con, like the 10-hour shift from start to finish.
You're the one like demoing stuff for them?
And I'm like dead tired, and I'm in all these pitch meetings, and I'm pitching this game, and I'm not having any luck. And it's all like, this is a great game, but we already have a pressure luck game. Or this is a good game, but maybe 2019 we could fit it in the schedule, and like, and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, this is really, I'm just bummed. And so like, she's one of my friends and is taking care of me at this convention where I'm like brain dead, and is just hearing all of this stuff. And I'll let you continue from there.
Okay, good.
Oh, okay. So I heard that, like, oh, it's a great game, and I was like, yeah, it is a great game. And then that got me thinking about, like, I'm not a pressure luck person. Like, I would go as far to say is, like, if you say, like, let's play this pressure luck game, I'm like, well, let's play something else.
How about something else?
Yeah, well, like, I mean, I like games, but there's so many of them out there, and, like, I don't want to just roll dice and have that be like, oh, I lost, cool, that's it. That's my idea of most pressure luck games. But yeah, so I was listening to them, like, say, like, oh, yeah, maybe next time, or maybe if we didn't already have a pressure luck game. So I really liked playing it, and so did Nick, who's the other part of Weird Draft Games. And we were like, we want to own this game. I guess we could publish it. Like, and so I approached Tony, and I think the first time I approached Tony, he didn't know I was saying that I could.
So it was like one of those like oblivious like.
Yes,
like
I'm 5'3", so things tend to go over my head. So I'm in a conversation with her, and it's not the conversation I think we're having.
It's okay. It's happened to other people too.
Oh yeah.
Like Tony again when you're talking to.
Yeah, like me again with Beth. Like, we'll go into the art later.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm somewhat oblivious at times.
Got it.
Well, and I'm also like, I'm not like, I'm more direct to the point now.
Yeah.
But like sometimes I'm like, oh, I was rejected. I should walk away. So yeah, I am more social now, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I'm on here.
You're on here. You're on here, and it's been great. So then you take them on as a project. Now, at this point, is this the first time you leap out of your own publishing, or have you done that before? Like,
no. So this is the first time I've ever signed a game.
Okay. And that process for you scary at the beginning, and for you guys, like this is somebody who hasn't done it before, like.
So yeah, for me and Tony, it's both our first signed game.
Yeah.
And so I mean, and it's your first signing of a game, so we're all in this
together.
Yeah.
And we just. So I mean, I think all of us kind of didn't know what to expect.
Right.
We didn't have a lot of preconceived notions of how it was supposed to go either.
Right.
So, like, all we knew is that we were supposed to work together to make this happen.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of did. And I don't know if it was textbook how it's supposed to go, but
Right.
it seems to have worked pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it funded.
Yeah.
We have a fancy magnet book opening now, which I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I would buy it for that alone. Which I think I might buy a copy at least just to do like a small giveaway at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too bad
I
ICP was no help in figuring out how they work.
Oh, magnets! How do they work?
But
I caught it. That was good.
But yes, it's just been like there was nervousness, but there was never nervousness about working with Carla.
Got it.
Like,
Oh,
we were
yeah,
friends
no,
before
right.
there was any
Yeah.
kind of business
Of course.
thing going there. So that was just kind of where it was for me. And it was kind of exciting because it is the first time. So
Yep.
all of us were going through it
That's phenomenal.
at the same time. And we didn't know what it was supposed to look like or how it was supposed to function.
Mhm.
We just made it work because
Yeah.
that's the kind of people, like, that's how we got here in the first place.
Absolutely.
Like, we made the game work. She made Weird Giraffes work.
Yep.
And that's just kind of what we do.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I mean, I guess the only thing is like, you know, I don't think Carla's a mean, evil, nasty, terrible person, but I do like fear with the signing the contract thing, man. Like,
Yeah.
what happens from there?
Right.
I
Like,
got you.
what happens if I sign this and Carla just gives all the money for herself and she's just making,
Right,
you know,
right,
or
no,
you know,
no.
what if she takes my baby and destroys it? You know, like there's all these scary things. But like, honestly, Carla,
Yeah.
what she does actually, like, I think she could put a hurt on me if she needed to. But like, you know, I'm not like, you know, I'm happy that the first time was with somebody that like is a really cool person.
Yeah.
Like you know, it's not like some big corporate entity. Like I'm selling.
Yes,
up a,
Yeah.
it's a person that we can
Right,
talk
yeah.
to as a
Yeah,
person.
and again, we talked before the stream about being a number. It's
Yes.
not, you don't feel like
Yeah.
that in this.
No,
in this
not at
outfit.
all.
I don't have
Well,
to put
they're
in.
number one.
They're number one.
They're
All
number
of them
Yeah,
are
well,
number
like
one.
that was part of it. I was like, I'll prioritize you as number one. You're the next thing.
That's
Right.
phenomenal.
Yeah, it didn't have to put in like a a request
Yeah.
to talk to this guy and schedule a meeting and whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like I can message Carla on Twitter and be like, hey,
Yeah.
so about this thing, cool, let's talk. Blah blah.
Yeah, you got a second?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
it wasn't, let me call your secretary and schedule an appointment
Yeah.
between
We'll
the
get
other
back.
5
Yeah,
games.
exactly.
I think that's part
Right.
of just the board game community in general.
Yes.
We're all here to have a good time. There are business, there is dollars,
Mhm.
there's, corporate buyouts and blah, blah, blah. And this
Mhm.
is maybe the stock market.
Hostile takeovers.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff happens.
Library fires.
Why are we
stuff
talking about
everywhere.
Asmodee now?
Oh boy. Oh.
I was trying to
True.
avoid that, but yeah, it's all there.
Be
We
careful,
all
guys.
know
Don't
it's
trigger me.
happening.
Don't get me on that track. Don't-
Will is very easy to go down.
No.
yeah.
But again, like,
Cough, Asmodee, cough.
but I mean, at the heart of it all, we're all here and have a great time. We all
Yeah.
want to have fun and
Yes.
play games, and some people just make those dreams happen. So,
Yes.
like, the fact that it's a person or an entity, I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's just all.
Which
all
makes
people.
this project even more exciting for
Right.
me as a backer. I think for you guys as a team, I think you guys meld really well together. All the now obviously you don't have the artists here, but obviously the artists you're working with have a phenomenal. It seems like a unified vision, but I'm sure you guys had to work for that too.
Well, I'm the art director.
Yes.
Well, of course you are.
Yes,
I mean,
it's working. Let's take off this hat,
yeah.
art
yeah.
director hat
There
now.
we go. Art director hat.
I just
Okay.
wear one hat.
No,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
I
very
should wear
proud
more,
of my
but-
art.
They've said that. It's unfortunate that they've said that,
Yeah,
but they dwell on
I'm
it.
sorry. Is my shine bothering you guys? Deal with it.
Rel is swooning over Beth Sobel.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Beth.
Swoon.
Oh, Beth. We'll tell the story about Beth in a minute, but Carla,
Excellent.
art director hat.
Yes.
Okay, so one thing that I went to Beth with was like, so I wanted to make this distinct. Like, this is a very distinct, different game. It is not Alexandria. Okay, that's like one of my pain points. Is like, people are like, oh, there's another Fire in the Library game? I'm like, there's two, okay? Get over it. There's like, how many space games? How many of them
How
are
many
there?
space
Yeah, there's a common theme. Deal with it.
How many
How many
games
times? How
are
many
there?
times are you building a castle for some constipated English monarch? Like, how many times have you done that in a board game? I'm just saying.
Like,
times
get
have you
over
rolled
that
dice?
there's one already.
Right.
But I went to her and I was like, okay, I want it to be distinct. I don't want it to be Alexandria because that's been done, and we've had enough people that are like, I'm over libraries.
Really?
Yeah, we've got Alexandria
how-
and Ex Libris,
so-
and that's enough book games.
Yeah.
We're done.
I have to ask you guys, how great is feedback that is like non-viable? like when you are playtesting or in development of something, and then people throw this feedback that is just like so out there that it has nothing to do with like the mechanics of it. Like, oh, I don't like the color blue, and therefore
oh gosh,
there-
that brings me back to my. I used to work with the army, and
Uh-huh.
oh gosh, like the bike shedding. Like, who cares? I don't care that you like the color blue. Get out of here. Like, no.
But it's just happened so many times. Like when like, so one thing that's great about having designers test a designed game is that normally the feedback you get is more on point than the
Well,
general
so
public.
it's give and take. Okay, when you are playtesting with a designer, you have to take that into account and know that they are a designer, because sometimes they're like, well, they don't tell you this, but you have to like know that they're a designer and know that they're saying like, oh yeah, if I design this game, I design it this way. And you have to like not do that thing because you're not designing their game, you're designing your game.
Correct. Correct.
So yes, you have to.
They just want to know that, like, you as a designer, you just want to know if it works, and that you really don't care, like, hey, I think I would add a event track, or I think I would add I don't
some dice.
Yeah. There's not enough dice here, guys.
So then John becomes the rogue and stabs them while I distract them.
But
It's along the line of like just outrageous feedback. Like I can see somebody go, I
no,
really like games with dice.
You get all sorts of them.
Feedback, and you have to question it. You have to go down the line and thinking, like, you can't just take a feedback and be like, this is the feedback. You have to be like, why do you think this?
That's true.
Like, and then get to the heart of the matter, because people are suggesting things. Hopefully, they're doing it because they mean well.
Right.
Okay, a lot of people mean well.
Of course
they just
they do.
don't understand how to give good feedback.
It's not like they're knocking it just to knock it. And like you said, go down the line of question, because they'll give you a mechanic that they want to add, and then as you find out, it's because the pacing might be off in their opinion.
Yes.
And if the pacing's off, then that actually might be a problem that you have to address.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but then you sit down as a team.
Ways.
Then you sit down and you're like, okay, it was great. I like that you came up with a new mechanic, but let me figure out
People giving feedback often are people are usually very insightful about the problem.
Yeah.
People are usually not very good about giving you the solution.
Absolutely.
And that's totally just inherent in
100%.
all feedback.
Right.
Like people will find or sense a problem, but they won't know, like what they tell you to do to fix it may just be fixing the symptom of the problem. It's not the actual problem. But it's a pointer. It's something that you can use when you go back and look at things.
Similar to this is, how many times, or how long did it take you to get comfortable with constructive criticism? Was it right out of the box, like, I could deal with this, or were there times where you're like, like me? Sometimes I took it personally early on when I was showing my project or something like that. What about for you guys?
Oh, it's not hard. I just ignore it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They're
John ignores them.
Last time I checked, it's my name on the phone.
John kind of lets it bounce off of him. It's really cool, and like part of the whole like dynamic of the two of us is that I'm very like emotive and very into like all of that stuff. Like I want to listen to what everybody has to say. I want to take it all in and hear it all and let it kind of bounce off me. And I have a tendency to take what other people say as more important than what I already think. And so having John as the other side of that, where John can let it bounce off of him like he's a wall, the two of us meet somewhere in the middle. Like, I'll say, well, these are all of the things that they said, and John says, yes, but this is the game we're designing. And so we end up with that happy place in the middle where that happens. And then you bring Carla in, and she said it earlier, like, one of the things that she really offered, especially in development, and this is what one of the things that I love developers for, and all designers, like all games need development. If your game hasn't gone through a developer, find one. I don't care how long you've messed with it or play tested it. It makes so much difference to have another set of eyes on things.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that a developer can do, and a publisher, and if they're both wearing two hats at once now.
Back to back. And the art director's still on, so you got
three hats. You have somebody who can offer a clarity of vision, and as a designer, it becomes almost like working to spec. Like they say, this is the game we're designing, and it's our job to then design that game. Like this is the game we've got. This is the game we're designing. How do we get from point A to point B? Beautiful. And it's just this clarity of vision that isn't there when you are sitting at a table as a independent designer and you've designed a game and you're getting all this feedback and it's on you to determine what direction it needs to go in.
What's the BoJack Horseman quote? Is it it's all the rose-colored glasses? What is that?
History is seen, or
it's hard to see all the red flags as red when you're wearing rose-colored glasses. Right. So it's just you don't see until you get different perspective, and you kind of can't as yourself. So you have to get third-person perspective. You have to get somebody else to look at it, and that just helps so much. And that's why the duo is it works, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna go great places.
So,
So
back to the swoon aspect of the art. We were
Yes.
talking about
Okay,
that.
yeah, so
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. It was way back.
I'm
So-
sorry, I
It's
talk a
fine.
lot.
No,
That's
it's
all.
okay. It's okay. But again, this is I'm scared by the way because I hate when they do that.
Okay.
okay. So anyway, so I wanted it to be a slightly magical library, but like it doesn't specifically say that anywhere. But you can kind of
I
tell
can
in the
tell it,
tools
yeah.
and stuff, and the art, Beth made very fantastically like that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you guys can see it on the Kickstarter page and the website. But I'll just to show you.
Yeah. So the library,
Oh,
I
and I love
didn't
the
want
card
it to be
backs.
in a very specific time period. Like it could be now, or it could be later, or future. Who knows?
Or
like
magical past.
or
Yeah.
magical past.
An
Yes.
alternate reality. It could be anywhere,
There you go, I like
and
it.
that's
I like that a lot. Yeah.
Actually, right here on the back of the box says copyright 2018. I'm kidding.
Oh, way to go.
Sorry to ruin the
Not
magic.
really
Way to
dated.
go.
sorry to
Not the
ruin the
final
magic. All right, Mr.
So,
Spreadsheet. She's talking about art now.
Yeah, I'm talking about art. So another thing I really, really like about games is how colorful they are. Like
Yes.
all my games, like if you look at all of them, they are very colorful. They're very neon. I like when they're colorblind friendly, and John does
Yes.
as well
Yeah.
because like reasons.
Oh yeah, colors.
Colors are good. So one of the things when I approached Beth, like in my first email to her, I was like, I want it to be a colorful game.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be colorblind friendly, and it's gonna be like a range. I love rainbows and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So if you look at the tools, if you spread
that's
them out
phenomenal.
I don't know how well they can see it, but it's like.
It probably comes pretty good. I can move them closer to the camera
Yeah,
and
you
you
go
can explain
for
it.
But I'm really proud of this, and even these stretch goals all fit into the rainbow. So this is a very colorful, unique game. Like, and even the meeples and stuff like that. Like, you do not get the traditional blue, red, green because colorblind people can't tell the difference between red and green sometimes, or like
That's a
blue
very
and
good point,
purple.
Lewis.
Yeah.
And blue and yellow sometimes even. That's like a very rare.
There's a
blue
lot of
yellow
that that goes on.
Yeah.
What did
There's a
Lewis?
lot of that.
What did Lewis say?
Says Will likes the colors because he can't read after. And
I like. That's why I like pictures too.
It's
I
a
like,
very
There's
good
a lot
point.
of that happening.
Yeah.
I'm all about iconography because I can't read. So
Yeah, she
Just
likes her
dig
friends colorful too, so
Yeah, yeah.
it
Yeah,
works.
That's right. That's right.
So that was a part of it. I also added rainbows to this game.
Yeah.
I added unicorns. I mean, this is a very.
I saw you were very proud of the unicorns that came out in the laser printers.
Yes.
too.
Yes,
I-
yes. I laser cut I
Yes.
added lasers, unicorns, and rainbows.
Pew,
Which,
pew.
like, it can't get much better than that.
Yeah, like what else do you need? In
Absolutely.
We need a library cat. I'm gonna be honest. Like that's
Ooh, there you
something that
go.
we
Oh,
do need
that's
is a library
in the
cat.
menagerie expansion.
Stop ruining all your future plans.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
we have.
Nobody else is gonna get there first. We kind of staked out our domain at this
That's
point.
very true.
There'd be a cat. There would
Yes.
There
Heck yes.
will be cats.
be. I mean, there's already a cobra, a canary, a Saint Bernard. What other animals? Oh, a salamander.
Yes, salamanders.
Ooh.
I
I
love
like
the
that.
salamander.
So, is there anything else you guys want to, pitch or talk to people about before we get into playing the game?
The Kickstarter, it's
Yeah.
live, man.
Yeah,
I've
it's
looked
live
at
right
like
now.
17
You can
times.
help us
Get to it.
out by getting there. It's only $19 plus shipping. If you're
Yep.
in the U.S., that's $24 for you. If you like lasers, it's $100.
Yep.
I like lasers.
But one thing that I really, really like about this Kickstarter campaign, other than that I did it, I am very proud of my skills.
Yes.
I am not a graphic designer,
Yeah.
but I did the graphics and
Yep.
stuff. I did it in a combination of Paint and GIMP and Inkscape and
Oh.
PowerPoint. I graphic design in PowerPoint,
the
guys.
pain chills I just got from GIMP and Inkscape,
Yeah, they're good at very specific things.
Do you want me to tell them about how
Very small.
Elements used to be in MS Word?
Yeah. Still? No,
Okay, so but going back
Yeah,
to
sorry,
Carla's
sorry.
just like, no.
Sorry.
the Kickstarter.
Yeah, sorry.
One of the options on the Kickstarter is for you to get a game and for a library to get a game.
Oh, yes.
All you need to do is back it, and I will make sure a library gets the game. I also pay for shipping, so I am paying for part of this because I am very passionate about libraries. Like, I grew up and I lived in my library. I didn't really have friends. I had the library because, that's where you go to learn and do stuff. So yes,
It's the
I
highlight of
want.
my week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Saturday morning we used to go to the library
Yep,
and get
same here.
Exactly.
I read
I
every
read-
Encyclopedia Brown book the library had.
Sorry,
I-
my
no,
mom
I-
cared about our
I think I did. I
education.
think. I mean, I know my mother was an educator, and I did go to the library.
There's
a
no way
lot.
your mom didn't have you go to
Yes,
the library.
but I wasn't like I did it for a while, and I was like, I found out about sports, and I did that for a while, and then I
Okay,
found out about
but
music.
Imagine if your library had board games, and you could like
Oh.
meet other people and play
That
board games.
enjoyed
at
that. Yeah, that would
And
change my
just
life.
Getting to socialize and stuff, like if you have a family that can't afford board games, because they are expensive. Like this is a hobby where everyone is really privileged that they have extra money to spend on board games.
Mhm.
Okay, that's just a fact. But if we can give enough games to libraries across the country, like
Yeah.
I know at this point we're giving over 50 games
That's
away.
awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah,
And
it's
I think that
phenomenal.
is fantastic. Like, if I had an issue with trying to find libraries, that would
Yeah.
be like the perfect problem to have.
And you guys are at very close to 900, correct? If not,
Yes.
have already possibly hit that.
896.
So they're at
896.
Yeah, I've been keeping
896.
track of it.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome if we can get them to 900 live tonight
Yeah,
on
I
stream.
mean,
so.
that would be great.
I did
I
my
would be
part.
so
but you do your
appreciative.
part.
But just
45.
consider the library thing, because you can bring like fun to a family. Like,
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
so
83 copies so far. 83
83
copies going to the
copies are
library.
Wow,
going to
that's
library.
Wow, so you said 50, but it's actually 83.
It's actually 83.
I
That's
have been at
phenomenal.
Unpub and I have not stopped.
That's phenomenal.
I'm sorry, guys.
So, I mean, a big thank you, I think, to the people who have supported that at this point.
Yeah, I'm like
'cause
so
this is way to be-
appreciative. Like, I can't even imagine what 900 people is.
It's
What,
true.
is that how many are here this weekend? I don't know.
I don't know. That might be
Um,
a solid estimate.
but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am very excited by everyone and everyone who has participated in the like ultra tier and the library tiers, because that's so important. Like, and like we are getting to the point where so as a small publisher, I
Yes.
don't have inroads in with retail.
Okay.
But we might soon, like if we get popular enough, and
Yes.
that's like 104 backers from now,
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
per chance. It's not a guarantee.
If enough people take notice, then distribution has to as well, and
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
No,
Something
I agree. That's
Yeah.
100% true. And see,
So-
that's one of the tough things with distribution right now is that there's so many board
Yeah,
games
there are
being
so
created.
many games like you can't get into distributors or
Yeah.
even like the people that talk with the distributors.
I know a lot of game stores, LGSs, local game stores, that are kind of frustrated with the whole situation right now because there's a lot of games that they want to carry, and the distributors won't pick them up. And some game stores I've heard might be trying something along the lines of so almost making this like collective, where they warehouse between each other.
mhm.
And again, I think the industry's at a point where something has to change there, because there's a lot of great games that are not hitting
Right.
the local game stores, and they're suffering because people want those games,
Right.
and they don't want, I mean, not that they don't want the big title games,
Right.
but they also want the ones that are indie and
Mhm.
self-publishing,
Yeah.
self-published rather.
And I mean, if that could get, like, if Fire in the Library could get to distribution, I mean, that would probably be a life-changing event for all three of us.
I think
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So, because, like, who doesn't want to do board games full?
And your estimate, where does that put you? How many more roughly?
What I've heard is 1,000 backers.
That's
or
the
more.
magic number.
That's what I've heard, or
Yeah.
5 games. So right now, Fire in the Library would be 3.5.
Yes.
Expansions are a half. So,
Oh, okay. Got
so
it.
3.5 plus 1,000 might do it.
Okay.
Who knows?
Okay.
We'll just have to see.
I
Yeah.
hope so. That'd be phenomenal.
Yeah.
So let's get them there. They're 19 days.
Yeah.
Get out there, check it out, and please back them. It's a great game. So we're gonna actually get into the gameplay here.
Yes. Okay.
So they'll walk us through it. Dave's gonna complain because I'm gonna try to get answers for you guys on strategy, and he's gonna say that I'm cheating.
So we've played several games with creators. The one that he won, he sat right next to the guy who created the game. Was talking
Tony,
to him
wanna
the whole
switch him?
time. The whole time. I beat him at the Flicked and Furious earlier, and then Graham Russell from Pick and Roll beat us. He was relentless.
Yeah, he was.
He was running deep strats about his own game on us. Didn't really give us a lot of information. He beat us.
All right.
Yeah.
So
We'll
how
see how
many of
this
us?
one goes.
I guess the question is, how many do you think we should play comfortably? All of
I mean,
us,
it
or
plays all. So one thing about weird draft games is
Yeah.
we don't have a player count that doesn't work and isn't great.
Ooh.
Like one of my most the things I hate
yeah,
are like I buy games specifically because they have 6 players and I play games with 6 players and then I play the game and I'm like, they obviously did not play this ever.
No,
Right.
it should
And I
not
get
be
so
It says 6
angry.
players on the box, but there's no way that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So this game, it plays well at 6 players, and it plays well at 1 player and
Yeah.
2 players.
The
Like,
time, does the time change much between the different numbers of players, or?
the time changes more depending on the different types of players.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay, so like if John is gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna press my luck every time and lose, well, so I have like some people in my player group that do that where they're like, I'm gonna press my luck until it dies.
Yeah.
And so
So does
that.
library.
But
I love
if you
fire, I love
play with
libraries.
people
What
that
would-
are like, okay, it's a pressure luck game. If you play with a group of people that do not want to press their luck, it will go on longer.